All right, are you ready? Because here we go. We're launching into another brand new day here at the Steve Gruber Show, live from Studio G here in the heart of America, fighting for you every single day. From the foxhole of freedom, we tell you the truth when others, they give you propaganda. You ready? Here are three big things you need to know this hour. Number one, Eric Adams, the embattled mayor of New York City, may have been given a gift bigger than Joe Biden or Kamala Harris. Time will tell, but Republicans can now save him and the city from a declared communist. Number two, the forgotten heroes of the attack on Iran, a bunch of 20-somethings left behind to defend the air base in Qatar, a skeleton crew of real patriots that got it done. And number three, it is Free Speech, Free for All Friday. That means you get to weigh in with your comments right here for all to hear. Free Speech, Free for All Friday, powered by the Patriot Mobile Common Sense Hotline. It's 877-310-9966. 877-310-9966. A couple of rules. If you've called sometime in the last month, show some restraint, please. Let somebody else get through. Wait until next time. Oh, and no foul language, all right? Let's keep it clean. I know some people, you get excited. I don't have any, not mad at any of you. You just get a little excited. I get it. The Patriot Mobile Common Sense Hotline, 877-310-9966. So where to start? How about we start with this morning? Pete Hegseth laughs in the face of a reporter asking about women not being respected in the military. Here it is.
Why not acknowledge the female pilots that also participated in this mission? The early messages that you sent out only congratulated the boys.
So when I say something like our boys and bombers, see, this is the kind of thing the press does, right? Of course, the chairman mentioned a female bomber pilot. That's fantastic. She's fantastic. She's a hero. I want more female bomber pilots. I hope the men and women of our country sign up to do such brave and audacious things. But when you spin it as, because I say our boys and bombers as a common phrase, I'll keep saying things like that, whether they're men or women. I'm very proud of that female pilot, just like I'm very proud of those male pilots. And I don't care if it's a male or a female in that cockpit, and the American people don't care. But it's the obsession with race and gender in this department that's changed priorities. We don't do that anymore. We don't play your little games. Yes.
We don't play your little games. And we're not playing games here. You know, last week, there was no strike. I told you all last week that we were coming. By Friday, Saturday at the latest. Looks like your humble host was right about that. All right, let's start with the Common Sense Hotline. Randy in Florida is kicking it off today. Randy, welcome to the program. Glad to have you. What's on your mind?
Hey, good morning, Steve. How you doing today?
I'm good. What's up?
Good. Steve, you know, I served in the Marine Corps during 79 through 83, and you know, and the Iranians, you know, they are not to be trusted. They use this rhetoric as a stall treatment, a stall tactic, to just prolong what they want to really do is have a nuclear weapon.
Well,
I really wish.
Do you think that they have anything left?
I
mean, do you really think they have anything left to build a nuclear weapon?
Well, I don't know if they do or they don't, but they're still a terrorist organization, Steve.
That part's true.
And that's what they promote. And I think we really should have got a little bit more justice for the 240 Marines that they killed, killed in Beirut, Lebanon.
1983.
Robert Buckley, our station chief in CIA in Lebanon, and the other Americans that were killed, soldiers that were killed by the Iranians. I really think we should have done more, and I'm ultra mega, buddy. Thank you so much for what you've been doing. And I don't know how you do it from 6 o'clock in the morning to 3 o'clock in the afternoon. God bless you, buddy.
Methamphetamines. I'm joking, of course. I'm joking. Randy, thank you for the call. And thank you for being there on the front lines, 1979 through 1983. It was a heavy time in America. You had the Iranian Revolution. You had the attack on the Marine barracks in Lebanon that killed 241 Americans, like you talked about. Tough time to be serving. All right, Mike is in Arizona. Mike, welcome to the program. What's on your mind?
Well, sir, I know it's not a whole big matter in the grand scheme of things, but I've noticed in the last 2 months there are no more chemtrails. And mysteriously, that happened soon after RFK Jr. testified at a congressional hearing about chemtrails.
So did you see them regularly?
Yes, sir. about 10 a day for the last 30 years up until the last 2 months.
Maybe that's a good sign. I'll have to have others weigh in on that. Folks, what are you seeing out there? Let me know. Mike, thank you for checking in and giving us a field report there from Arizona. Folks, what are you seeing in other parts of the country? Let's jump up to Idaho. Steve is in Idaho today. Steve, welcome to the program. What's on your mind?
Well, first off, I want to tell Randy, Semper Fidelis, and keep it up. And to you, because you're one of the best news patriots I've ever heard, when so many people are broadcasting and not tuning to what's being said and done. But I tell you what, this Jasmine Crockett, if she ain't a piece of work.
Wow. She's something, isn't she?
What do you think?
Well, I think that she's nuts, first of all. And look, you look at the Democrat Party. You look at this open communist that the Democrats just put through in the primary in New York City. That's as big of warning sign I've ever seen. I saw Donald Trump yesterday at the Big Beautiful Bill event at the White House, and this guy that's worked for Ford Motor Company for 26 years, lifelong Democrat, comes across the aisle and says, like, I'm not a Democrat anymore. I don't recognize him. Now, look, I've never been a member of any political party, all right? Do I vote for Republicans more often than Democrats? Pretty much my whole life. But I've never been a Republican or anything else. But I could look at the Democrats and go, what the hell is that? We all can go, what is Jasmine Crockett? What is that? That's not the Democrat Party. That's not John Kennedy. That's not even Bill Clinton. You know, it's an offshoot of what Barack Obama sowed into the world, clearly. But what is that? I don't know, Steve-O. Concerns me. To the Heartland I go, and I want to tell you about something. I did a special last night. You should look it up. On Chinese agro-terrorism, bioterrorism targeting American farms, right? I did it with Just the News, No Noise. One of the folks I had on was Mary Miller, a congresswoman from Central Illinois. She's a farmer there, very concerned about the Chinese bringing in these agents that can kill corn and rice and wheat. Should check it out. Fox News is a big story about it here today. I like when they follow suit and realize that what I'm covering is important. Speaking of Illinois, that's where Ed is today. Ed, good morning. What's on your mind?
Good morning. How are you?
I'm great. What's up?
I was an aircraft electrician in the Navy from 1973 to 77. And I was in their time when the Iranians bought the F-14. So we had Iranians all over our base. All of a sudden, all the Iranians, they got sent back to Iran. We were told that they had to go back to Iran because of to help the Shah. Next thing I know, we get word back that all the guys that we had met were assassinated for being too westernized.
Killed them all, didn't they? Yeah, they killed them all.
Yeah.
I got to leave it there, sir.
Iraq attacked Iran.
Yeah.
And then the only way Iran defeated Iraq was they got their tanks to come into the swampy area and bog them down. Iran sent waves of humans after and pretty much decimated only generation.
Because they just sacrificed them all. Thank you for the phone call, Ed. 73 to 77. They got them all killed. More on Free for All Friday when I come back. All right, back to it here on a free speech, free for all Friday, powered by the Patriot Mobile Common Sense Hotline, 877-310-9966. I want to take a moment to just say thank you to you. The viewers, the listeners, the people that have made this possible over the last 12 going on 13 years. We've grown something here, or maybe it is 13 years. We've grown something here from something small to something important. And I do my level best to bring you the news as clean as possible. And look, there's a lot of influences out there. I'm not always right. And if I'm not right, I will tell you, hey, I made a mistake. It happens sometimes. Not a lot of folks in this business will do that. But if I make a mistake, I'll tell you. Not that I'm going to tell you about one right now, but just trying to be honest with you. I try to find the facts. I'll dig deep. I'll listen to multiple sources. I'll go see if I can find out what the truth is, and I'll bring it to you. That's my pledge, to work as hard as I can to bring the truth to you whenever possible. And maybe sometimes it's truth you haven't heard before, like that agro-terrorism. Nobody's talking about this. If our farm fields are vulnerable, if the Chinese can kill our corn and our wheat crops without ever firing a shot, that changes everything. Things you need to be concerned about that maybe don't make the headlines every day, but probably should. All right, great farming state of Ohio is where I find Steve this morning. Steve, welcome to it.
Hi, how are you?
I'm wonderful. What's on your mind?
Love your show.
Thank you.
Okay, you want to stop drugs in America? Start taking these dealers out back and shooting them when you catch them doing the drug sales. That'll put a stop to it.
Well, that's what some countries
also,
do.
Judges. Yes. Well, we need to start it. That's a bad thing over here. Judges. Why are they not being disbarred for going against the law?
That's
and then number 3, abortion. Why are American people paying for abortions? If these people can't not have kids the right way, then they should have to pay for their own abortions.
Well, Steve, I appreciate the call. All right, let's go through this a little bit. First of all, the Supreme Court struck down payments to Planned Parenthood this week. That's a step in the right direction. It also struck down payments to Planned Parenthood for its other services, not just abortion, but other things. It says the federal tax money, our tax money, doesn't have to go to Planned Parenthood anymore. That's a good news. Drug dealers, the penalty should be a lot more harsh. Most states don't have the death penalty anymore, but I understand your point of view, Steve. I understand your anger. Let's go to John. He's in New Jersey. We're going east for a moment. John, how are you today?
Morning, Steve. How are you?
I'm lovely. What's up?
I'm doing great. Can you hear me?
I can. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. It's just, they're saying everybody's talking about the Iran thing. Gosh, I mean, we all know that Iran got a heads up from, I don't know, somebody. They got all the uranium out of there before all the bombing was done.
Well, headsets, hold on now. I don't know that that's true. They said they've been watching these sites for the last couple of weeks, and some pickup trucks showed up over a couple of days. They said, you can't move this uranium in pickup trucks.
There was like 16, my wife's from Serbia, and over in Serbia, the Serbian news, they had like 16 wheelers lined up getting the uranium out of there before we blew it up.
Well, we'll have to look into that because what we're being told
and
by
I'm out on the street all day. You know, we have so many people. I see all these illegals driving brand new cars. I'm driving an old piece of crap Ford. How is it that these people they're driving without insurance, most likely.
NGOs.
And they're driving brand new cars, and I've got 4 kids and 6 pieces of crap at home.
Yeah.
I think we should do away with the welfare system in this country. There's too many people taking advantage of it. Yeah, let's legalize marijuana in New Jersey. That's smart.
No, that's not smart.
Come on, man.
I can tell you that's not smart. They did that. They did that in Michigan, where I live. There's a weed shop on every other corner now. I'm not kidding you. It's just terrible.
In Englishtown, New Jersey, there's literally 5 weed stores in the middle of town, like that just popped up out of nowhere.
It's so stupid. Anyhow, John, thank you for the call. Greatly appreciate it. I don't know, but I'm gonna go ahead and trust. Look. The people that don't trust Donald Trump have been proven wrong almost every single time. When his administration says, we don't believe they moved the uranium, I'm going to go with, I don't believe they moved the uranium. I don't know what they're showing in television in Eastern Europe. I don't know. Maybe they moved some stuff. I don't know, but I am going to say that I believe so far that this administration has effectively neutered the Iranian nuclear ability. And now I've got Democrats out there saying, well, they can rebuild in 6 months or 8 months. It's not as bad as you think. Oh, so it's not okay that we pushed them back 6 or 8 months from being right on the brink of having a nuclear weapon? Pull your head out of your backside. Are you kidding me? We moved them back 6 or 8 or 10 months. If that's what we did, that's a win. That's a win. If they were a couple of weeks away from having nuclear-capable weapons, moving them back 6 or 8 months gives us a bigger window to knock them down again. Come on, people. These Democrats have their heads so far up their ass, it's hard to figure out what's going on. All right, Olin, South Carolina. It fires me up. Olin, how are you?
Good morning, Steve. How you doing, buddy?
Well, I'm a little irritated, but I'm all right. How are you?
Doing good, Steve. First of all, I'd just like to say, sympathize to my brother that called in earlier. And on this Iran deal, Steve, I believe President Trump knows what's going on, and I think they destroyed their nuclear plants. And I don't think they got the uranium out because you know as well as I do, Steve, that Mossad is on the ground in Iran.
Of course they are.
Watching what's going on.
Yeah, and have been for years.
The other point I want to say, Steve, is God bless all the men and women that carried out this mission.
Amen
and
to
I
that.
Thank them, and I thank you, Steve, and God bless you for putting the truth out. And these Democrats, if they say one thing, don't believe it. If you believe what they say, then you're wrong because
I agree with that.
they're lying when they open their mouth.
You got that. Olin, greatly appreciate the call this morning. Thank you, sir. We got Brian, David, John. Ladies, where are you? Ladies, Free for All Friday is for everyone, men and women. 877-310-9966. 877-310-9966. I'll be right back. All right, we're going to carry on now, and we're going to carry on with your phone calls all 3 hours today. By the way, look, we're live on YouTube. We're live on Facebook. We're live on X, of course, all these social media platforms. You can find us all over the world now, and we've got an app coming. We're not too far away from that. Could be this fall. We're going to have an app, make it even easier for you to stay connected to the truth. All right, let's go to Brian in Pittsburgh. Brian, let's see what's on your mind.
Hi, good morning, Steve. How are you?
I'm lovely. What's up?
Hey, I was in the Air Force 1980, 1985 under Ronald Reagan. And after what Trump did to Iran, I would have been proud to serve under him in the Air Force.
Makes you feel good, doesn't it?
That's
What
all I got to say.
those men and women pulled off. Thank you for the call. I appreciate it, Brian. What those men and women pulled off was remarkable. And I agree with Pete Hegseth. The nitpicking, the naysaying of the New York Times and Chicken Noodle News and all these other clowns, it's sickening. It's what they always do. He laughed at that reporter today because she needed to be laughed at. Why don't you respect the women that were on there? Shut up. The boys and the bombers is just an old saying in the Air Force. It's men, it's women. Look, Everybody knows women are some of the best fighter pilots in the world. Everybody knows it. The reporter obviously didn't, but we do. Anyhow, David in Kentucky, you're up next. David, how are you?
Thank you for having me, Steve. And I don't want to be all over the place, but I'm big on better elections. I don't believe that Congress people should be taking lobbying money. That is a bribe, because that piece of crap, Mitch McConnell, that I have representing me, takes lobbying money and votes against the best interest of Kentucky to take the money. That money, each state should pass laws that any lobbying money that their representatives get goes to the state treasury and not for their own personal use. Now, I'm going to bounce over to Social Security. Social Security, if you think about it, is just like a 401k. The employee and the employer pays into it. Pass a law saying that Social Security is no longer applicable, that every employer has to provide a 401k, and the employee...
And a fact sheet. I got to leave it right there, sir. We're against it. Love you.
When a child...
You know what I'm sick of? Let me just throw a gripe out there. I'm sick of anonymous sources. If you're going to report the news, if you're going to have sources, start using sources that use their names. This whole anonymous sources say, people associated with it, people that had, speak on bull. A lot of this is made up crap. That's how they manufacture news. They manufacture news by giving you the impression they have sources when they have little bits and pieces, and they create a source in their minds and then write it down. Otherwise, they wouldn't be wrong as often as they are, which is every damn day. Anyhow, the Patriot Mobile Comments on Hotline, 877-310-9966. I'd also be remiss if I didn't say thank you to Rob Sigg from Real America's Voice, who gave me the shot in 2019 to be on Real America's Voice, which has grown remarkably since then, hasn't it? Good Lord, you have no idea. That was a long time. That was a lifetime ago at this network. So thank you to Rob Sigg for working with me all these years. Let's go to John in New York on a Free for All Friday. John, welcome to the program.
Hey, Steve. Listen, I'm voting for Adams, and I'll tell you why. I'm voting for Adams because God works in mysterious ways. Adams has done a lot of things that were questionable, but like I said, since God has put his hands on him, I think that he's gonna be the best candidate in the race in New York, because
I agree.
You got a guy who's a so-called Republican who hates Trump. You got a mass murderer, right, named Cuomo, right, and then you got Mayor Adams, right.
Well,
Adams
and you've got the communists. You've got the communists. Yeah, don't forget the communists. Cuomo's out, by the way. He dropped out.
Listen, hey, the Johnny come lately, forget him, man. He ain't got no chance because Adams is going to tear him up. Watch.
Yeah. Here's what has to happen. Curtis
He's going
Sliwa.
up against Adams. Adams is the wrong guy for him to come up against. Adams is from Brooklyn.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think Adams wins this thing.
He's got his issues, but like I said, God has touched him, and he's going to be a good mayor from this point on.
Well, John, thank you for the call.
He's already done a lot of good things.
We'll find out.
The housing and everything.
I understand. I appreciate the call. We're going to watch that one closely. Here's what I think. Curtis Sliwa, the so-called Republican that doesn't like Trump, as you pointed out, has no chance of winning. But if he throws his support to Eric Adams, Adams can win, and the communists can be dispatched back to Uganda, where he probably should go at this point, my estimation. All right, Jeff is in Montana this morning. Jeff, welcome. Where in Montana are you, Jeff?
Yeah, I'm in southwest Montana, Steve, right up against the Idaho border.
Well, what town?
So, I'm a retired rancher, and I've been in Montana now 20 years, but I come out of Northern California.
All right.
And my deal, what I'd like to talk about here, and I'm a little nervous, you have to excuse me.
You're fine. You're good.
Water. Northern California and water. If the president got the water situation under control, he could turn California red in a heartbeat. California has all its own water.
That's right.
It don't come from anywhere else.
But
and
they let it run to the sea.
That.
But they let it run out to the sea.
Yes, down at the Delta, all these rivers, from the Sacramento, the Feather, the American, I could go on and on. It goes down to the Delta, and rather than turn it out into the San Joaquin, they turn it out to the ocean.
Yeah, makes no sense at all.
There's these three fellers that are still alive. They're in their 90s. They meet every week in Cottonwood, California, at a little place called Eagle's Nest. It's a pizza joint. And they discuss stuff. One of these gentlemen is Red Emerson. I don't know if you know who Red Emerson is, but he owns Sierra Pacific Industries.
And he controls the water, doesn't he?
Oh, no. But he could tell. He could tell the president and so many of you people about it. And then there's the next feller. His name is Ellington Peake. He's traded cattle for over 70 years.
All right. Jeff, I appreciate the point. I got to leave it there, Jeff. I got to get some other folks in here, but I agree with your point, and I think that there's an opportunity in California this year, and here's what I mean by that. Democrats think they can't lose, and when a team thinks they cannot lose, that's when they can be beat by a good candidate, and I hope to God that California can get a good candidate. I appreciate the call. By the way, Southwest Montana, Jackson, Montana, the Big Hole River. That's my favorite part of the entire state of Montana. Write that down. Let's go to Don in Michigan. We have lots of water in Michigan. Don is in Michigan. Don, good morning.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. What's on your mind?
Hey, my nephew is Border Patrol down in Tucson, Arizona.
Okay.
And about 2 years ago, he was telling us a story about a crowd of people, about 30 people coming at him, and he was talking in Spanish to them, stop, can't come across. He said when they got up to him, they were all Chinese.
Doesn't surprise you a bit, does it? 30,000.
No, not the ways I'm hearing about, the other stuff with the Chinese. It just really, when he told us that back in the day, I didn't really think a whole lot about it until just recently when
30,000
we started having other trouble with them.
30,000 Chinese nationals were among those that came over in the last year across the border. 30,000. What do you think they're up to right now?
Many, but
yeah. Most of the military-age men.
More the Chinese than we know.
Yeah. Watch your six, Don. That's what I can tell you about that. Thank you for the call. Look, the Chinese infiltration of America is very real. When I talk about agro-terrorism here by way of the University of Michigan, it is real. China papers these universities with money, lots of money. There are 1,000, listen to what I'm about to tell you. There are 1,000 Chinese scientists today working at the NIH. You can go find the story on justthenews.com with John Solomon. 1,000 Chinese scientists who all have had to pledge their support to the CCP. How do I know? Brand new story right here from John Solomon came out about 20 minutes ago. Justthenews.com. There are few reporters I trust. I trust John Solomon expressly. I can get in one more call here. John from Michigan, back-to-back Michigan. That's weird. John, how are you?
I'm fine, Mr. Gruber. How are you, sir?
Good. What's on your mind?
The Second Amendment is on my mind here in Michigan, and our Michigan Constitutional Right, Article 1, Section 6 is on my mind. We had 3 Rhino Republicans, Huizinga, Weber, and Albert, that just voted in the Senate against our Second Amendment rights. And these are supposed to be Republicans in Michigan here. And this is after Uncle Ted Nugent spoke before the Senate and spoke on behalf of our Second Amendment rights, and they basically totally ignored him. These people have got to go out of the Michigan Senate because they're not for our Second Amendment rights, sir.
John, well done. Greatly appreciate you being here, sir. Thank you. Still to come, Ruben, Jeff, a whole host of folks. We're going to hear from an NFL Hall of Famer right after the break. Well, we will continue with your calls, though, all day here. That's why we're live on YouTube. We're live on X. We're live on Facebook. We're live around the world. And you can be part of it at 877-310-9966. 877-310-9966. Patriot Mobile Common Sense Hotline. All right, so I had one of the callers here earlier say, hey, how do you do it every day from 6 in the morning until 4 in the afternoon because you're on for 3 hours in the morning and then you're on in the afternoon? Well, one of the ways I do it is with Exodus. You guys know that. I take it every day. Exodus is 7 biblical ingredients, and then it's got a little new science brought to it, which really makes it spectacular. Rob Renee is the founder of Exodus. He joins me now, and he's got a brand new spokesman that I'm impressed with. Rob, welcome to the program.
Hey, I'm so excited to be here. Nice to see you again, Steve.
Nice to see you, and things are going well at Exodus. Tell the folks real quickly about the 7 ingredients and about molecular hydrogen.
Yeah, it just has so many benefits, right? We really worked hard to find the right synergistic ingredients, which are organic barley grass, wheatgrass, saffron, aloe, cumin, frankincense, and myrrh. And then we marry that with the modern science of molecular hydrogen. Everyone's so excited about hydrogen and all the health benefits of hydrogen, how it can help with inflammation. It can help with energy, like you mentioned. So it just helps you with sustained energy. And we brought these 7 biblical ingredients that are synergistic with that molecular hydrogen that just are helping people at the cellular level recharge their body. So it's so exciting. And
ever since I started taking it, I mean, I feel clear. I feel clear when I take Exodus. I take it every day, and that's what it helped me with. Well, just focus, I suppose. That's a big bonus, right?
It is a huge bonus. I mean, one of the biggest side effects of COVID, and most of us got COVID at some point, is brain fog. It's like a really, really big percentage of people have brain fog. So they're tired in the afternoon. They can't think, and Exodus helps with that. So
pretty
exciting.
sure I have COVID as we speak, actually.
No.
I'm on the back end of it. So honestly,
Good.
But I'm not all fogged up. I'm not all, all with cobwebs and whatnot in my head. So, your new spokesman is Terrell Owens, NFL Hall of Fame football player. I mean, this guy is a stud. I think Anthony's got a little bit of tape. Can we go ahead and roll that?
Terrell Owens here. On the field, I brought energy every single game. But let's be real. Sometimes the fatigue in the brain can make you feel like you're running on fumes. That's where Exodus Strong and their Fatigue to Fire playbook come into play. It's a complete 40-day blueprint with a checklist, an in-depth ebook, plus daily prayer and Bible study guides to rebuild your body, mind, and spirit. Find a real solution. Connect with a supportive community. Receive our free prayer guide and move quick like me and save 30%. Visit toexodus.com now and start your 40-day journey to an unstoppable energy. Don't wait. Get in the game.
There it is, Terrell Owens. I mean, congratulations on getting hooked up with Terrell Owens. I mean, he is the real deal. And hopefully that's going to move things and get more people paying attention to this incredible thing that you've put together.
Yeah, we're so excited about it just because he is such an amazing athlete, right? He looks as good now as he did when he was playing. And so it's super exciting that he's stoked about Exodus, and we're really believing this is going to take us to the next level. It's great when we have scientists and doctors who recommend the product, which we have a lot of those. But to have somebody of his stature like the product and want to represent it is really super exciting. So we believe it's going to be a huge benefit. And it just shows that, hey, this is not just your everyday product. This is something that's really special and that people really need to take a look at it. And with the Terrell Owens campaign, we're giving people a huge discount on the product. So when we talk about that, when they go look at the page, we give them not only the supplement, but we give them a victory blueprint. I don't know if you noticed that, which is really neat. It gives you everything you need to do morning, afternoon, and evening to help you with your health, to help you with your energy. Right. And it even has that prayer guide. Our mission at the company is to get 1 million new people to read the word. Right. So we really have a mission. And that prayer guide is awesome because it literally helps you read the prayer out loud. So you're using your mouth and your eyes to read it and your ears to hear yourself say it. So you're using multiple senses of your body in addition to the capsules to help you with your health. Right. So it's really important. We're really big believers in the mind, body, spirit connection. That's really important. And it's fun to have Terrell Owens talk about it and represent this amazing product.
And if you'd like to find out more, it's super easy. Try ExodusNow.com. Try TryExodusNow.com. Take my word for it. I take it every day. People are asking me, how do you do it every day? How do you do so many hours? I'm not really sure exactly, except I feel pretty good most of the time. It's not 100% pretty, but it's pretty much got me a lot farther down the road than I used to be. That's for sure. I used to be dragging all the time. You know, middle of the day naps, all that nonsense. Don't do that anymore. TryExodusNow.com. Rob Renee will help you feel great. Get rid of the brain fog. Really put this all together for you. And look, 1 million people to read the Bible would be a real accomplishment. Rob, I'll give you the last word.
I'm just so excited that we have this opportunity to try Exodus now, and we're giving you a really big discount getting there. Right? You'll see it. Terrell Owens is on the page, and then we have it starts at 30% off. So you can even get more if you get 3 bottles, which you can share with your friends or family. It's just an amazing product, and I'm excited for you to try it, and I'm excited for you to share with your loved ones after you like it. So
there you go, Rob Renee, changing the world. 1 or 2 people at a time. TryExodusNow.com. Rob, greatly appreciate you. God bless you, my friend.
God bless you. Have an awesome day, my friend.
Get
too.
Well. There you have it. I'm doing pretty good, actually, probably because of Exodus. Greatly appreciate it. TryExodusNow.com. All right, back to Free Speech, Free for All Friday. That's how I do it, folks. People ask. I can get Ruben in from Florida if we'd like. Ruben, how are you today?
Good morning. I feel like a million, but I ain't quite that old.
There you go. I got to do it quick. You got about 45 seconds. What's on your mind?
Okay, I'm a commercial beekeeper.
All right.
And we ship bees out to California. And I believe, and we talk about this agri-terrorism, I believe we were a victim of it this year because we took it's a 40 and 50% losses. Personally, my business took 40%, and I sent 3 loads of bees out to California, and I think I had about 600 of them survive.
You know, I wondered about that. Greatly appreciate the call. I wondered about that because we've had all these headlines over the last 5 years, Ruben, about bees dying in America. And one of the first things I thought about is, what if the Chinese have something they're killing our bees with that slows down our production of crops? Look, they'll come at us from any direction they can. More phone calls on Free for All Friday after this.
Tomorrow is happening.
Free speech, free for all. Friday continues. We finally got the ladies to climb on board, which I appreciate. Lou is in Indiana. Lou, how are you today?
Good.
What's on your mind?
I love your show.
Thank you very much.
I watched your special last night on China, and for years everybody's been saying I'm crazy, but back in the late 70s and early 80s, the Chinese laid out exactly what they were going to do, and guess what? Here we are.
Here we are. It's exactly true, isn't it? It's exactly true. Frightening. You're in Indiana. I mean, you grow a lot of corn and beans and wheat in Indiana, don't you?
Yeah, they do. I live right on the river, so I just watch the boats go up and down. But yeah, there's a lot of that. So, but anyway, I just want to thank you because you're one of the best reporters I've ever seen, and you actually get to what's happening.
I appreciate the phone call, Lou. Be safe down there and be prepared. You never know, and keep your eyes open. You're not crazy, I'll tell you that. All right, let's go to Jacob in Florida. Jacob, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good, Steve.
Good. What's on your mind?
Well, I want to talk a little about people, population the birth rate and our population crisis we're reaching in the United States. The birth crisis. 25% of 40-year-olds in the United States have never been married, and 66% of all single Americans have never been married. And so I'm thinking, that definitely is to be a problem with the birth rate for not having children. We're not getting married. Do you happen to know which state has the most highest rate of adults that have never been married? It's a trivia question.
California.
I'm going to guess. Pennsylvania is the state with the highest rates of adults.
That's crazy. I got to leave it there, Jacob. I got to jump, but I appreciate you calling in, and it is a problem, and we need more people to get married. We're seeing a movement back toward the churches, back toward nuclear families, but we need a lot more of it. The numbers are not working in our favor. Listen, I will get to all the callers. Dan, Lisa, Linda, you too should call 877-310-9966 and watch the program on YouTube, on Facebook, on X, live around the planet. Don't miss a minute ever, any day on all those places. It's Common Sense, Free for All Friday, 877-310-9966. All right, here we go, kicking off another brand new hour of the program. Glad to have you here as we ramp it up here, folks. Glad you're here for the conversation. It's a free speech, free-for-all Friday, right? Here are three big things you need to know on this free-for-all Friday. Number one, and we're going to talk about this more, the Chinese targeting our farm fields for espionage could mean famine for millions of people, starve America in a way we have never seen. Number two, federal prosecutors tell the judge they will deport Kilmar Abrejo Garcia to a third country, which this time might be Sudan if they let the man walk the streets, which they say will never happen. And number three, it is free speech, free for all Friday. That means you get to weigh in with your comments right here for all to hear. Free speech, free for all Friday, powered, of course, by the Patriot Mobile Common Sense Hotline. That number, 877-310-9966, 877-310-9966. All right, so where do we start this hour? I think we start with Dan in Dallas, Texas is where we begin. Dan, welcome to the program.
Hi, Steve. Love your show.
Thank you very much. Thank you for being here this morning. It's a beautiful Friday. How's Texas?
Well, we now know who's your daddy, President Donald J. Trump.
Isn't that
Have a
beautiful?
Good day, Steve.
Yeah, that's funny. And that Mark Rutte, if anybody missed it, the NATO executive director, whatever his title is, general secretary, whatever his title is, says sometimes daddy's got to speak up to get the kids in line. Yeah, that's true, isn't it? Is that it? Dan's done?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's fine. That's all I had. All right. What do we got next? Linda, is that right?
Indeed, sir.
All right. Linda, Idaho, you're up. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you, Steve?
I'm doing good. Thank you very much. What's on your mind?
Maybe you can explain to me. We are at war here in the country. We have the invaders of the communists, the Muslims, the Chinese, and it seems like nothing's being done about it. It seems to me they should be all just removed from America, and the criminals are still getting away with their crimes, and I'm wondering why that is.
You know, I wonder why that is too. You know, it feels like some days. Now, some days I'm not always like this, but some days it feels like we're getting it from every direction. We're getting from Chinese agri-terrorists. Right. We're getting, those illegals over the border. We've got people, coming in from all sorts of countries that hate us, that don't want to be Americans, just want to destroy America. It's kind of crazy to me in many ways. And
why is that allowed to be happening?
Say again?
Why is it allowed?
Well, it shouldn't be allowed.
I mean, if this is America, we have the right to have who we want, and we don't want them.
No, it shouldn't be allowed. The problem is you've got a lot of people making a lot of money at these universities, for example. All these Chinese students come in. These universities line up licking their chops, looking at the checkbook from the Chinese Communist Party. We're going to talk more about that in a few minutes. But that's part of what they're doing. They're lining up and lining their pockets. Linda, it should be stopped.
Why is that allowed?
It shouldn't be.
Why is that allowed?
Should not be. But it is, because you have greedy politicians that are lining their pockets. We, the people, need to stand up. At least you're in Idaho. That's a pretty good place to hide out.
Exactly. I'm on 5.5 acres, and
yeah.
I hide out really well.
There you go. Linda, thank you for the phone call. Greatly appreciate you. All right, I've got Dan in Michigan now. Dan, how are you?
Morning, Steve.
Where are you in Michigan, by the way, in this great state of ours?
I'm in Port Sanilac, Michigan.
All right, Port Sanilac it is, my friend. What's on your mind? Sounds like you're either in the car or on the boat.
No, I was outside.
All right.
We have this problem in Michigan where we have this abundance of resource and nobody gets any advantage of it. And I would like to have Doge come in and take a look at what the DNR has done to the Great Lakes commercial fisheries.
Well, they've destroyed
Millions
it.
of pounds of fish are out there. Nobody can have them but the sports fishermen, which is about 1 million people fish.
Yeah.
But these fish used to feed people in New York, Chicago, Detroit, millions of people, and they get nothing.
Well,
so
it's
we have
interesting.
surpluses of fish that are in the millions and millions of pounds.
No, I get that.
And
Look,
nobody gets the use of them but the sports fishermen,
Well,
which
what-
I am one myself.
and I'm a sport fisherman too, but let me add, here's what I don't understand. In the mid-1950s, about 1955, the United States said you cannot commercially fish Lake Erie, all right, anymore. And, of course, we touch a little bit of Lake Erie, but the Canadians can. So if you go into a restaurant and buy a walleye dinner, good chance that that fish was caught in Canada and then shipped over to us. How does that make any sense at all? Any sense at all?
Some years, Canada takes up to 21 million pounds of walleyes out of Lake Erie.
Right, and we're not allowed to
Right
take
now,
any.
there's 12 million excess walleyes in Saginaw Bay that's eating everything. The DNR is planting 1 million herring a year just to feed them, which it makes no sense.
No, it doesn't make any sense.
Why don't they plant 1 billion herring so that we can go back to fishing herring, which fed the world, fed the United States for 100 million pounds one year?
Yeah, they just it's.
You know, it makes no sense. The DNR claims that the value of commercial fishing is nothing.
Well, they're wrong, Dan. I appreciate the phone call, and I appreciate your enthusiasm and your level of dedication to this and your passion. I appreciate that. All right, Herman is in Pennsylvania, I believe. Herman, how are you?
Good, Steve. How are you today?
I'm
Thank you for
lovely.
having me on.
I'm glad you're here. What's on your mind in Pennsylvania?
Voting. And when are we going to get, when are they going to clear everything out in the United States and get that voting taken care of so that we don't have a ton of other people just coming up and going, oh, I want to vote. That's number one. And number two is there was a congressman, senator, something like that on who kept on saying, well, let's just start here and move forward. Let's just start here and move forward. He was one of the shifty ones.
Yeah, absolutely.
And investigate all those bums.
I agree with you. Well, you know, voting, we need to secure the voting. We know now that the Chinese used fake driver's licenses to send to the United States. 20,000 were picked off at O'Hare International Airport in Chicago, August of 2020. The FBI under Christopher Wray said, yeah, we don't need to investigate that. Bring that investigation back in. And then they destroyed evidence of it. How frightening is that? And that is an easy story to go Google right now and find out about. The Chinese influenced our election of 2020, not Russia. It's never been about Russia. It's always been about our number one global enemy, China. They come at us from every direction. It's asymmetrical warfare every single day. I'll have more. I got Dory after the break, and then we're going to get on to some other things on a Free-for-All Friday. Thank you for being here. All right, let's pick it up again and go. Keep an eye on everything that is valuable to you. Gold prices today, $3,300, just over. Down just a hair, but definitely on an upswing for the last couple of years. A weak dollar will do that, of course. Joining me now, Tom Colson, owner of Liberty Coin. Liberty Coin Service, a national company. You can get a hold of them at libertycoinservice.com. Tom, nice to see you again.
Good morning, Steve. Good to see you.
Let's start with gold and silver. Silver did a pretty big move here over the last few months. We'll get to that. But gold has been kind of stationary there at about the 33.50 mark. It's been there for a bit now. What are your insights on that?
Yeah, I'm not too surprised. It's kind of built in a range here where it's just consolidating. It seems like we got a ceiling at about 3,500. Doesn't want to seem to break over that yet. Seems like it's pretty strong around 3,300 or maybe just a little bit below. So it doesn't seem to be going much below that. Not a lot of business happening in gold right now, at least in our store. Not a lot of selling or buying. So I think people are kind of waiting just to see what happens. And
just kind of sitting there.
Moving it a little bit. Yeah. Although, something like the bombing that happened over the weekend, it didn't seem to move the needle very much at all.
Didn't move the needle on that. Price of oil actually fell by about 12% after all of that. So we're just kind of sitting there waiting for the next big thing. I don't know what's going to happen right now. It seems the silver, though, did move over the last few months quite favorably for those holding it, right? From September 24 to now, it's up pretty decently, like a few 100%.
Yeah, so not quite that much, but still silver's broken over 35 convincingly and stayed over that number for quite a little ways now, in a week or two anyway. And we did touch $37 an ounce, which I think was about a 13-year high at one point.
Right, so it's pretty
currently
good.
Sitting over $36 an ounce this morning. The action seemed to be in silver right now. It seems like we're getting a lot of people liquidating, but we're also getting a lot of people jumping in and buying it too.
Well, and you have told me for a long time it's still undervalued. Even at $36, $37, it's undervalued, isn't it?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's still a good value. We're in it. We're still only about 3/4 of the way towards our old-time high, and if you adjust for inflation, it'd even be much further beyond or below that as well. But
right.
We peaked out at $50 an ounce twice. I see no reason why it won't do that again. I just don't know exactly when.
I see some states making gold and silver legal tender now. Florida, the most recent to jump on that bandwagon. So it looks like precious metals are back in the back in vogue, I guess.
Yes.
I've told you folks for a long time, if you ever have something of value, you want to know what it's worth, you can send it to coins@stevegruber.com, coins@stevegruber.com. Tom Colson can take a look at it. He's well-versed on a lot more than just metals, but that is his area of expertise. So this first coin here today, Tom, it's something I've not seen before. And there it is. I'm not even sure what this is worth. It shows George Washington, President of the United States, on one side, peace and friendship on the other. I think it says 1789 on. What am I looking at here?
So that's a U.S. Mint metal. They are produced by the U.S. Mint. It has a design of basically what would have been an Indian peace medal, although I don't think the George Washington medal had that exact design before. So it's kind of a concoction that the U.S. Mint has made to just distribute, and they have them for all the presidents, or most of the presidents at least. But that's what that is.
So this is not from 1789. 'Cause I'm thinking, man, if this is from 1789, that's going to be
correct.
quite a coin.
It looks like that was probably produced in the last 20 or 30 years.
Yeah. So its value, if you
50
like
cents
it.
or a dollar.
What'd you say?
50 cents or a dollar.
Yeah, or $2 if you really like it and like that president, and then you get a premium for $2. All right, the next one is just a quarter to me. I've seen a bazillion of them. It was probably worth a quarter in 1974. It's worth about 11 cents today, I think. What do you think?
Yeah, you're right on target there. I mean, it's still a quarter, no silver in there. Spends as a quarter, doesn't buy as much as it used to. I don't know why somebody pulls these. A lot of people seem to think that if it doesn't have a mint mark, that they're more valuable, but that just indicates that it was made at the Philadelphia Mint. So
right.
That seems to be a common misnomer out there that coins without mint marks are worth a lot of money, and that's just not the case.
Just not the case. All right, the next one's a penny, 1944 S, I believe this is. It's just a penny. It's a wheat cent. A lot of people have these. They collect them because they're kind of fun. They circulate around. Even now, you'll find one on rare occasion, won't you?
Yeah, every once in a while I still see them in change. And of course, 1944 S San Francisco Mint. The interesting thing about these, for the 2 years, 1944 and 45, those were minted using recovered shell casings that were used in World War II because they had such a limited amount of copper around that they had to recycle it in that manner. So
Yeah, and
that's
the
kind of
last
the interesting
one.
thing about those.
Yeah, and the last one here is one of these more recent dollars that has all the presidents as well, correct?
Yep, that's a Andrew Johnson dollar. They made dollar coins for each president that's not living anymore. Initially up through Reagan, and then they added Bush when he passed away a few years ago.
Right.
But that's what they are. They're still worth $1. Nothing really more. There's not a huge collector market for them, but there's a small number of collectors for them.
So on a recent trip to Washington, I ran into a guy at the restaurant. His name eludes me at the moment. I've got his card around here. He is the treasurer of the United States, and he was talking about the end of the penny. He said, they're ending the penny. He talked about that, and they're going to change the metal makeup of nickels because they cost 8 cents to make. Pennies cost far too much to make, so they're done with that. What do you think of that?
I think it's overdue. I think we should have gotten rid of the penny years ago because it's not really used extensively anymore, and it just doesn't really buy much of anything.
Right.
So mainly they just accumulate and sit in people's closets
Jars.
or drawers or whatever. They don't seem to be used as much for what they are. It may spark some collector interest once they discontinue them, so that's kind of interesting, and I'm looking forward to that possibility, just to see new collectors maybe enter the market.
We'll see what happens with that. Last bit of news, I'll leave Tom Colson. You can think about this. He also told me they plan to close the San Francisco Mint. I don't have time to talk about it today, but next time they're going to close it down because it doesn't get used enough and it costs us too much money. Tom Colson, owner of Liberty Coin, libertycoinservice.com. You can find out more. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Steve.
And thank you for being here. It's the Steve Gruber Show. I'll be right back. Free speech, free for all Friday. It's powered by Patriot Mobile, as you know. Patriot Mobile, of course, is my wireless provider, America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. Dory is on the line. By the way, the number is 877-310-9966, so you can connect anywhere in America. 877-310-9966. Dory is in Michigan. Dory, welcome to the program.
Hi. Good morning. Thank you for taking my call. I know that a lot of very important people listen to your show, so I wanted to give a shout out to for the Michigan State University Project Search. It is a wonderful program for special needs younger adults. My daughter is one of the beneficiaries of this program. And for short-term expenses, long-term benefits, because of this program, she is gainfully employed and will not be on the dole for Medicaid the rest of her life.
Well, that's a great story. What was the name of the program again?
Michigan State University Project Search.
Project Search. Well, gosh darn it, Dory, I like that.
Funding is being cut.
The funding's being cut by whom?
I don't really know. I just got an email from Brooke, who is part of the program, and she asked us to reach out to our representatives. And I know there's a lot of high-up people that listen to your program.
We have an $88 billion state budget in Michigan, $30 billion higher than it was when Gretchen Whitmer showed up. It would seem to me that if Project Search can get people that have challenges gainfully employed and contributing to this thing we call America, we probably ought to support it. I don't know much about it, Dory, but I like your passion, and I like the fact that your daughter's doing well, and I like the fact that you called. So, to those of you listening in Lansing today, of which there are many, find out more about this Project Search at Michigan State University. What is it? Why would funding be cut, and where does that funding come from? Dory would like to know, and I would like to know. Dory, thank you for the phone call.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. There you have it. Speak up and be heard, I say. Dory, doing the right thing. All right, guys. In Lansing, Republicans, Democrats, all of you, what is Project Search? And why is the money being cut? Congressman Tim Walberg coming up in just a moment. All right, big week, of course. And still sorting it out, trying to figure out. Look, a lot of conversations about where the uranium is. some people that are trying to take shots at Donald Trump for the most effective airstrike of my lifetime, potentially, trying to, degrade them. Let's talk about it. Congressman Tim Walberg is here. He's voted to support our troops and our veterans, as he always does. Congressman, welcome back to the program.
Good to be with you.
Good to have you here. All right, so Pete Hegseth had some fun yesterday dismembering members of the media on live TV. I quite enjoyed it because he called them out, and they deserved every bit of it. They tried to go. I mean, he laughed at the one reporter. Why do you not like the women that are flying the planes? You only meant the boys in the body. He's like, would you stop it? I mean, it is so dumb. Okay, so that's thing one. The media is out of control. And number two, the important part about this is the uranium. The media is trying to say, well, we've heard reports that the uranium got moved. You don't think Mossad's on the ground watching these sites? You don't think that America's watching these sites from satellites? You don't think that we know exactly what's going on before we drive 30,000-pound bombs down the same hole one after another? I mean, it is pretty remarkable. I'm going to go ahead and trust the Trump administration. Am I wrong to do that?
No, I don't think you are at all. And it is tragic to see a supposed free press that is so desirous to see Trump lose that they would be willing to see America fail. And that's a scary thing. And I hope this is waking people up to what's been going on and the danger that we have within us right now. And it's not just New York electing a communist potentially for mayor. It is the media trying to destroy the movement forward of this country just because they still have this Trump derangement syndrome going on, and they can't get away from it. This was, as you said, the most successful event possibly in history. This is the closest thing to perfection that I've ever seen. The way it was carried out. And we wait. Chairman of select committees were brought in to the Intelligence Committee for a briefing on the alleged report that was put out as being the end zone of what we accomplished, when in fact it wasn't. But all I can say, even if it didn't ultimately achieve what we hope it did, Israel and Iran are in a ceasefire right now.
Right.
And the Iranian people.
Here's the dumbest thing I heard. We are in a ceasefire arranged by Donald Trump. Here's the dumbest thing that I think I've heard on all this. I've heard people on television, bobbleheads, talking heads. Well, we may have only sent back the Iranians 6 or 10 months in their pursuit of nuclear weapons. That's it. Well, if we sent them back 6 or 10 months, that's a win. If we send them back 6 or 10 months, that's a win. And it gives us 6 or 10 months to decide if we need to hit them again. I mean, this is their criticism. Well, we might have only sent them back 6 months. That's your criticism. We only got them away from a nuclear weapon for another half a year while we can figure out what to do next. I mean, these people are incorrigible.
Also, without shedding any American blood, putting any troops on the ground, and without shedding any innocent Iranian life as well. I mean, this was a surgical strike done for one purpose alone, and that was to destroy a weapon of mass destruction that was coming very close to being capable, in a capable situation, to destroy Israel and possibly to impact the United States in a very significant way. So, it is unbelievable what we're seeing here now. This also gives the Iranian people, we know back during the Obama administration, the Iranian students and others stood up against the mullahs and the Ayatollah, and Obama did nothing at all, and so they were crushed, and they've been crushed since then. What would happen now if the Iranian people saw hope because there was a president of the strongest nation on the face of this earth stand up strongly enough to push back against the Ayatollah and blow up his weapon of mass destruction? If they stood up, I think they would be right to believe that Donald Trump would speak strongly in their defense, and the rest of the world would follow him, even as you saw the leaders at NATO this past week. clamor to be with our president, the strongest leader in the face of the earth right now.
Yeah. I completely agree. I want to go back to, you mentioned the communist, Zohar Memdani, who apparently prevailed in the Democratic primary. Of course, they have that, ranked choice voting nonsense, but he prevailed nonetheless. It's the greatest gift Eric Adams could ever have gotten. It really is. Eric Adams, the current mayor of New York, I'm not a particularly big fan, but he certainly has come around in his leading from when he first showed up. And I think that if Curtis Sliwa, the guardian angels and Republican who has zero chance of ever winning anything, and also doesn't like Donald Trump, if he throws his support behind Eric Adams, Adams can save New York from a communist. And this guy's an outright communist. He wants grocery stores to be run by the government. He wants free buses, free child care, free support for illegals, free abortions. I mean, the list goes on. He wants to get rid of the New York Police Department and replace them with social workers. I mean, the guy's got one brilliant idea after another, right?
Yeah, and it's he can prove its effectiveness by pointing to Russia, and that has not been effective for people in general. I think this shows what we're dealing with, and the Democrats are going to have to answer for this, because frankly, that's who the Democrat Party have become. This guy, at least, is honest in telling the people what he is, except for the fact he doesn't say communist, he says democratic socialist. He's a communist. And
I don't think there's a distinction there, yeah. I think it's the same thing, but go on.
But this is what the people have to start looking at. What Trump is doing is restoring America. Sure, he's a tough guy. Sure, he uses language at times and taunts people, etc. But he's a leader nonetheless, and he has shown his resolve for America first, and he's taken it seriously. And I think America ought to wake up and say it is the outcome, it is the effort, it is the impact of a leader that we want. And if America is to remain free and powerful and able to be compassionate because of that around the entire world, and do it in a proper way, we have to have leadership that believes in the ideals of America. And we have that now, and it's being proven. So the pushback will come. Socialists in this country, people who don't believe in the American ideal, who want to change us, are going to push back. But frankly, your listeners, my constituents, and others have to stand up and say, the results are what we want. We have a leader that will go that direction. We've seen it now in Iran. We've seen it around the world, and thank God that we're America and have the choice.
Congressman Tim Walberg, well said, my friend. Thank you for being here.
Good to be with you.
Greatly appreciate it. Take a break and be right back. It's the Steve Gruber Show. All right, well, back to it on a free-for-all Friday. My next guest, one of my favorites when I run into him from time to time in Michigan or in Washington, is Congressman Jack Bergman, retired United States Marine Corps Lieutenant General. He serves Michigan's 1st Congressional District. He's with me now. And Congressman, thank you for being here, or General, whichever you prefer. But I heard something just before we came on. I think people should know this. You intend to serve as the congressman for the 1st Congressional District for the foreseeable future. You're in it for a while. I think that's news. Go ahead.
Well, it is. And, you know, number one, I want to thank the constituents for voting. The 1st District of Michigan is number 1 of 435 districts in the country for percentage of registered voter turnout. So my voters vote. That's a big deal.
That is a big deal. I didn't know that.
Yeah, you want to know who's number 435 in the districts of voters who don't vote?
I do.
AOC's district.
That would explain a couple of things, now wouldn't it?
It certainly would. If people showed up, maybe they'd have a little bit more depth of intellectual participation.
Maybe they wouldn't have a communist winning the Democratic primary to be the mayor of that city. And we'll leave that be for now. I think Eric Adams got a gift, is what I think. Let's talk about the nuclear strike, or the strike on the nuclear facilities in Iran. The media is doing whatever it can, the corporate media, not us. The corporate media is doing whatever they can to dismiss the crippling of Iran's nuclear capabilities. And the dumbest thing I've heard, I just talked about this with Tim Wahlberg, the dumbest thing I have heard is people say, well, maybe we only set them back 6 or 8 or 10 months. And that's a bad thing? If that was the worst case scenario, we set them back 6 or 8 or 10 months to give us another half a year to figure out how to further cripple their nuclear ambitions. This is the criticism from the corporate media. General, your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are, number one, unfortunately, because we'd love to think we can trust any country if we work hard enough to negotiate with them, get to know them, and work through something that's positive. Iran can't be trusted. So there's a little phrase about little kids, don't run with scissors. Well, Iran can't be trusted to run around and have nuclear capabilities because they have shown that they don't have the ability to restrain themselves when it comes to using it on their avowed adversaries. So they can't be trusted. So we had no option, but whether it's 6 hours, 6 months, 6 years, to do what we did to slow down and basically stop them from developing a nuclear weapon.
And how critical, I mean, look, here's a country since 1979, since I was just going into high school, that has sat there and said, death to America, death to America. They were behind the bombing in Beirut of the barracks in 1983. They've been behind the Houthis, Hamas, Hezbollah. The list goes on. They've been supporting terrorists that have killed Americans. And I just do not understand the lack of resolve from our friends across the aisle, the Democrats, the leftists, and even some anti-war Republicans. Look, guys, these people, if they could get a missile to deliver a nuclear warhead to New York City, they would do it, wouldn't they?
Oh, absolutely. They have shown time and time again they cannot be trusted. And when you dated back to the late 70s, I was already done with my first stint of active duty in the Marine Corps and in the civilian sector, but I was in the reserves. But we saw that the Iranians, after the Shah, after, God rest his soul, President Carter failed the world and the American people by what he did in the late 70s during his one term. We're still paying the price with the Iranian regime that exists today because of, again, the Democrats, Jimmy Carter's failure of policy at the time. And that's, we can't afford to have that kind of failure happen twice, especially in the world in which we live here 45 years later.
So here's what I think. And I've had some people mock me, I suppose. I think we are closer to peace in the Middle East, at least as close as we can get to peace in the Middle East, more today than at any time in my lifetime, because of this president, because of the Abraham Accords, because more countries are going to sign on, says Steve Witkoff. I'm going to guess we're going to see Saudi Arabia. We're going to see Syria. We're going to see Jordan. We might see Lebanon. There's a whole list of nations that will sign on to the Abraham Accords, delivering, I don't know if we'll ever have full peace in the Middle East, to be honest, General, but I think we're going to be closer because of this policy. What do you think?
Well, I think you're absolutely correct, because the fact is, when President Trump in his first term, I was sitting on the White House lawn watching the ceremony when they signed the Abraham Accords. He is a president of peace. He's proven that. He says that, but it's peace through strength. As Ronald Reagan said, there are entities, Russia being one, especially Iran, and their regime being another, that only respond to someone who is positively forceful, and that's what President Trump is. And I think we're going to have more people at the table, because most people, and that's most, want peace. They just have a challenge finding it. And President Trump has set the standards, set the conditions, if you will, for people to actually come to the table to talk about it.
Peace through strength, after exercising a remarkable precision strike on Iranian nuclear facilities. General, greatly appreciate you being here. Hopefully by the next time we talk, this bill will make it through the United States Senate. We'll see how the parliamentarian plays out. Don't have time for that today, as we all watch and see what happens next, sir. Thank you for your time, as always.
Thanks, Steve, and enjoy the weather of Michigan. I hope to be home in the next 36 hours.
Come on home, sir. The weather's wonderful. Thank you for being here.
Yes, sir.
There you have it. General Jack Bergman, Michigan's 1st Congressional District Congressman, a stand-up guy who, by the way, just made news. He's here to stay through the Trump administration, through the next administration. He says as long as the voters will have him, he's here to serve. Sports after the break. All right, time to check in on sports this Free for All Friday with Brock Palmbush.
With a look at sports, I'm Brock Palmbush. The NBA draft concluded last night in Brooklyn, New York with the second round. Auburn All-American Johnny Broome went to the Philadelphia 76ers with the 35th overall pick, and guard Elijah Martin from the national champion Florida Gators went 39th to the Toronto Raptors. Now that the draft is over, NBA free agency is next. That begins next week. 9 games in Major League Baseball yesterday. American League winners were Toronto, Tampa Bay, Detroit, Minnesota, and Houston. National League winners were Miami, the New York Mets, Chicago Cubs, and Los Angeles Dodgers. Former Baltimore Ravens kicker Justin Tucker was suspended for the first 10 weeks of the NFL season for violating the league's personal conduct policy yesterday. Tucker has been accused of sexual misconduct by multiple massage therapists dating back to 2012. Tucker was cut by the Ravens earlier this offseason. That's a look at sports. Back to you, Steve.
How many times do we have to go over this, Brock? You can't touch the help. Those are the rules. You can't touch the help. Those are the rules, aren't they?
Yeah, this is so similar to the Deshaun Watson case, which I'm sure you're absolutely aware of. Now, these are still allegations, and Tucker has said that he is innocent, that this is not true, and but it's still, I mean, alarming. And the NFL has now suspended him for the first 10 weeks. It's too bad, because on the field, he's a future Hall of Fame kicker. He's kicked the longest field goal in NFL history.
How long?
66 yards, which he did against the Detroit Lions, 3-4 years ago?
There you go.
So, yeah, it's...
can't touch the help.
Yep. Yeah, allegedly. Yeah. But, yeah, I hear you.
No, you can't touch the help, whether it's alleged or not. That's the rule.
Well, that's true.
No matter what business you're in.
And I guess it was a dozen or 16 masseuses that allege that bad things happened.
Yeah. Sad, sad, sad. All right.
It is sad.
Now, there you have it. There you have it. All right, Brock. Repeat after me. The rule is you cannot touch the help. All right.
Repeat after me. You cannot touch the help.
Yeah, you cannot touch the help. We'll take a break. Free for All Friday continues. 877-310-9966. If you got something you want to say, today's the day to say it. I'll be right back. All right, rocking it out for another hour here, the Steve Gruber Show. Glad to have you on board. Look, we've got a lot to talk about every single day on this Free Speech, Free for All Friday. Man, it's good to have you here. Millions on board now watching this program. We're reaching millions of people a month. Remarkable, actually. Kind of proud of what we've built here. All right, here are three big things you need to know this hour. Number one, solar in real trouble in this country. Bankruptcies looming for solar companies. Surprised I'm not. Number two, RFK Jr. announces health insurance breakthrough that could affect nearly 260 million Americans. We'll tell you what that's all about. And number three, how about the dumbest thing we've heard all week? How about that? The dumbest thing we have heard all week comes from Congresswoman Latifah Simon. A complete meltdown because white people talk about Martin Luther King Jr. Yep, dumbest thing I've heard all week. Roll it.
I want to be clear that 4 out of the 5 of you last year posted on your social media the words of Dr. King. And there are so few folks who actually have studied, who are clear on the theology of freedom of King. Very few of you have read and studied and have sat in Ebenezer Baptist Church. So I would ask you, you keep Dr. King's name out of your mouth. If you, like me and the many scholars who will be watching, studied King, you know that he and the mothers and the fathers of the civil rights movement and of the movement for emancipation not only would be struck by the conversations in this room, but would be shattered by the consequence of lies, of hatred, of abuse of this administration in the name of folks who worked to make this country more free.
Stop her.
Children
Stop
of
her.
Abraham.
Stop her. Stop her. Stop her. Stop her.
I want to be.
Good God. It's like nails on a chalkboard. What'd you say? Anyhow. That's what I thought you said.
She makes me so mad, Steve.
Does she?
Yeah.
It's insulting, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm going to need to go home early today. That wrecked my whole day.
Look, it's sunny outside. The rain stopped, and she upset me so much I have to leave early. God bless you, Anthony. That's a good play. I give you credit for originality on that one. I have to. All right, how about this? The guy... But first about her. This woman who lives in a country where the man she's talking about has a national holiday in his name, Martin Luther King Day, says that we as white people aren't allowed to talk about Martin Luther King. I guess it's only a holiday for her and people that look like her. Give me a break. That's not America. That is so insulting, and it makes me sick. Anyhow, John Fetterman, the guy who had the massive stroke, the senator from Pennsylvania, is about the only sensible Democrat you can find on most days anymore about anything. And he's not always sensible, but he's more sensible. He supports Donald Trump having the freedom to bomb Iran. He's not playing the political game that all his colleagues are. Listen.
On the Kane resolution, which will come up tomorrow night, you would vote how?
Well, I'll say this. I love that man, and he's coming in from a very principled side. But I'm going to vote no on that, simply because I would never want to restrict any future president, Republican or Democrat, to do this kind of a military kind of exercise that was very successful. This has been.
What are your thoughts on?
Yeah. Remarkable that the guy that has some sort of serious degradation from a stroke is the guy smart enough on the left to get it. It is incredible. Meanwhile, Senator Tom Cotton, Republican senator, says the mainstream media is rooting, flat out rooting, for America's enemies. Is he wrong? No. Listen.
In terms of the access of briefing that the Democrats get. Now, maybe they're going to come out and tell you they're not satisfied. Some Democrats, some in the media, seem to have such a case of Trump derangement syndrome that they're rooting for the survival of Iran's nuclear program versus celebrating the success of our pilots and their crews. But I think the answers they got in there should be totally satisfactory.
Was the discussion about the leaks in there at all?
Yes, there was condemnation of the leaks by both the briefers and Republicans and Democrats, for that matter. We should not ever leak classified information.
Mr. Chairman, if there's additional force required necessary to do further damage to Iran's nuclear program, do you think that action should be vetted or consulted through Congress?
Yeah. Mainstream media rooting for America's enemies. And here's another guy rooting for America's enemies and always rooting against America winning. Adam Kinzinger claimed to be a Republican at one time. A never-Trumper who drank so much of the Kool-Aid, it poisoned his little brain. He was a one-term congressman, one term from Illinois, massive failure, run out of Congress, as he should have been, for supporting an impeachment that never should have happened, and he should have been smart enough to know that, but he didn't care. He hates Trump. And like is true for so many people, they hate Trump more than they care about anything else. Adam Kinzinger about the bombing of Iran. Listen.
He declared victory before we had intelligence assessments, and the worst part is he forced a ceasefire between the parties so that the B-2s couldn't go back for round two, for instance, if they needed to. Nobody guaranteed that it would just take one round of strikes. The political decision that maybe you have to go back for a second strike was on Donald Trump, and he failed at that.
Oh, good God. That's the best you got. He got peace in the Middle East. That's outrageous. How dare him get peace in the Middle East? We could have bombed them again. That's Adam Kinzinger's argument. What? Oh, good Lord. It's really quite something, isn't it? I mean, it is. Did you know, speaking of parasites, I think he's got a brain worm. Adam Kinzinger. Speaking of parasites, did you know 60 million Americans have them? It's scary. They secretly invade your body. They wreak havoc on your gut, energy levels, even your brain, and the mainstream medical system. Well, they don't want you thinking about this because one great cleanse can change your life. The Wellness Company has a solution for you. Ivermectin and mebendazole. FDA-approved parasite solutions now combined in one cleanse combo. Just fill out a brief medical intake form and get your 3-month supply. Lots of parasite cleanses are all over social media, but not the gold standard level. Maha is officially here. And the Wellness Company is making hard-to-get medications digitally accessible so you can live your very best life. How do you get it? twc.health/Gruber. That's right, twc.health/Gruber. When you use the promo code Gruber, you're going to save $60 off, plus free shipping. $60 off and free shipping. This is the hottest thing going right now, I'm telling you. It is the hottest thing going. It is from the Wellness Company, twc.health/Gruber. Get on the health train today. How about that? And by the way, the phone number is still open, 877-310-9966. Coming up next, the most talented, best-looking, most accomplished lawyer ever in the history of the world, Steve Doolin. Don't go anywhere. All right, so here we go with the most talented, best-looking, hardest-working rock star lawyer of all time, Steve Doolin, everybody. Give it up for him. How about a round of applause for Mr. Doolin as he makes his way to the stage? There it is.
I wait all week for this.
It gets better every week, doesn't it? All right, so serious commentary today, Mr. Doolin. First of all, the Supreme Court, big day today. We're going to get to that, but first, the court decided against Planned Parenthood. Guess what? We don't have to pay for Planned Parenthood. Justice Neil Gorsuch wrote the opinion, 6-3. What do you make of it?
Well, makes sense to me. Luckily, a majority of the court still has the concept of positive rights versus negative rights. The rights we have as Americans are negative rights. They're the rights to be left alone by the government.
I love that.
They're not the rights to be given stuff by the government, right?
Right.
So the only time there's a conflict there is where there's a statutory requirement, an entitlement for all Americans, like Social Security, for example, that's built into statute. Then the court has to enforce the statute. But there's no inherent natural right to other people's wealth, and that's a good thing.
All right, so here we go. The cases that remain. There we go. Here we go. The cases that remain. I don't know if you know them all, but I'm going to run through them real quick, and we'll get you. Free Speech Coalition v. Paxton argued in January. A 2023 Texas law actually requires pornography sites to verify the age of those using the site before access. Kind of makes sense to me. We don't want 12-year-olds accessing. I don't think anybody should be accessing porn. Well, whatever. Somebody decided that was a violation of free speech. Your thoughts?
Well, it's protected speech by the First Amendment, right? And law students struggle with this. What is the definition of pornography? One famous case said the difference between art and pornography is lighting, right? So
never heard that, but okay. All right.
Where do you draw the line between Michelangelo's David and what others consider to be porn, right?
Yeah.
That's protected speech. There used to be a local standard many years ago, but the internet has destroyed any concept of local standards.
Right.
That doesn't exist anymore. So can you have a barrier that blocks out child access, and that seems reasonable to most folks.
Seems reasonable to me. We'll see where the court comes down on that. I mean, come on. That's not out of it. Okay, so the next case, Louisiana versus Calais, I guess. It's one of these gerrymandering cases again. The court ruled against Alabama, I guess, here a while ago. But this case, in Louisiana, they said you don't have enough all black districts. There was one now, they went out and created two, and another group came in and said, listen, that's just gerrymandering based on race. You can't do that either. So they created a new map with two predominantly black congressional districts, and they got sued for it. So what do you think?
Right. Okay, so
right.
Immutable characteristics. Right. So we are generally, the Constitution and all the statutes agree that we're not to be judged on immutable characteristics.
Correct.
Race, color, creed, national origin, height, weight, physical handicap, etc.
Maybe weight.
And so if we are creating boundaries for voting districts based on race, then we're making decisions based on race, which is supposed to have been outlawed a long time ago. Shouldn't be able to do that, right?
We'll see how that one plays out. We got two more we got to get to. One, deciding whether it violates the religious beliefs of parents to require kids to participate in LGBTQ plus themed stuff at school. The parents are Muslim, Catholic, Ukrainian Orthodox, a whole host of folks here, Christian, Catholic, Muslim, probably Jewish too. You can't teach our kids stuff that we find offensive to our religious beliefs. Real quick on this one.
The general solution is opt out. The lesson plans are supposed to be available to parents in advance. Parents don't send their kids. Personally, I think the problem is government education.
Oh, don't argue with that. All right. We'll see how that one. And these could all be today. I don't know, though. We've got one more day in June come Monday. Here's the big one, though. Trump v. CASA. It is the question of federal district courts, and nationwide and universal injunctions, but really it's also about the 14th Amendment and birthright citizenship. This is a big, big case. Birthright citizenship was never what the 14th Amendment was supposed to be about. We all know that. The Democrats know that. It was about newly freed slaves. But this is a big one because this would knock down the 600-plus district judges in federal districts that think they can rule injunctions all over America any given day that they feel like it. Your thoughts?
Common sense jurisdictional limits. These courts are created by Congress. The courts can be even eliminated by Congress according to the Constitution. They have jurisdictional limits for a reason. They have standing requirements, meaning they should only be able to control the parties before them. It completely tips the balance of power between the separate but equal branches of government. If you've got a local district judge who can bind the president and all the rest of the executive branch, that's the argument on the one side against allowing a district judge to issue an injunction that controls the entire country. The argument for it is it does exist, but it's weaker, which is it's appealable and eventually can get to the Supreme Court and can even be fast-tracked to the Supreme Court, and you got to start somewhere. They're both
What do you
viable
think?
arguments.
What's going to happen on that one? What are your tea leaves? Anything?
Best guess, I'm maybe like 51-49 that it's going to go against the district judges being able to bind the entire executive branch. But
That's where I am.
Yeah.
But what does that mean for birthright citizenship? What about the other part of the question here?
Well,
got 10 seconds.
The late great Scalia said it's either in there or it's not. It's a statute. We read the words, and actually that cuts in favor of birthright citizenship if you read the words. If you know the history and you understand the philosophy, that cuts against birthright citizenship.
But the words are the words, but we'll see if they're textualists today or not, won't we? Doolin, thank you.
Right.
Best looking, hardest working lawyer in the history of the world. There he is, everybody. Steve Doolin.
I love lightning round.
Well, this ought to make liberal heads explode in certain corners of this world. Pete Hegseth just announcing. This is not a surprise, by the way. But Pete Hegseth announcing that the United States Navy ship Harvey Milk being renamed the Oscar V. Peterson. Milk was the first openly gay man elected to public office in California and served at one time in the Navy. We are taking politics out of ship naming. This is not about political activists, said Pete Hegseth. We're taking the politics out of the Navy. Some would say he's putting politics in the Navy. We'll see. Donald Trump not going to golf this weekend. Nope. Donald Trump is not going to golf this weekend. He is staying in Washington to work the phones, we're told. Why? Because he wants his bill done by the 4th of July. By the 4th of July. Are you frustrated by the gridlock in Washington? Are you? Do you wonder why Congress can't get things done? Well, there's a way to understand how we got here and what can be done about it. Hillsdale College presents a free online course, Congress, How It Worked and Why It Doesn't. It's taught by Hillsdale's own Dr. Kevin Porteous. This course reveals the original purpose of Congress, how the founders designed it to work, and why today's dysfunction is no accident. You'll explore key moments in American history, the role of partisanship, and how changes in rules, incentives, and culture have reshaped our legislature for better and for worse. The best part? It is completely free. No tuition, no strings attached. Join thousands of Americans who have taken this course to become informed, empowered citizens. Enroll today. GruberforHillsdale.com. GruberforHillsdale.com. Start watching right now. That's GruberforHillsdale.com. Click on the catalog. You can find more than 40 courses. And when I say courses, these are many chapters. This is like watching a Netflix miniseries. And they're great. Look at the quality of the video for those of you watching on streaming. This is first-class stuff. Go ahead, binge watch Hillsdale this weekend. Rediscover America. That's what you should do. GruberforHillsdale.com. You're going to be glad you did. Send me a note. Tell me how much you love it. We'll go from there. When I come back, I've got Jim Holcomb from the Michigan Chamber of Commerce. All right, back to it now. There's a thing on our horizon called ranked choice voting. It's what they just used to get a communist to win the Democrat primary for mayor of New York City. It's what they've used to get a Democrat as a member of Congress in Alaska. It's the game that they have played to not to make voting more honest, but to make it more dishonest. They being the left. There's only one group of people in this world that want this to continue, and that's the Democrats and the left, right? It's a shocking situation. Jim Holcomb is with me from the Michigan Chamber of Commerce to talk about this. Jim, good morning. I think we've got a little issue here. Can you reach out and make sure we've got a connection there? Anthony, thank you.
Yes, sir.
We've misplaced Brock for a moment. I'm not sure where Brock went off to. And we have a little technical issue this morning. I apologize for that. Happens from time to time. But Michigan could become the largest jurisdiction in the country to adopt a complex, controversial voting method under this proposal headed to the Board of State Canvassers for review today. It's led by Rank MI Vote. They aim to get a proposal for ranked choice voting added to the 2026 Michigan ballot as a potential amendment to the state constitution.
Steve, we have him now.
All right, thank you very much. Again, Jim Holcomb joining me now. This is Jim. This is a game. This is not, as they like to say, democracy. It's a game to get candidates that otherwise would not win into a seat. Where am I wrong?
I don't think you are wrong, Stephen. I think what we need to make sure is all of our elections need to have the trust of the people, and when you start playing games with the process, the people trust it less. Let's just make it transparent. Let's put the candidates up in the process we know works and let voters cast their vote and elect the people that they choose to elect. We need to stop screwing around with this process because we need to make it transparent, efficient, and most notably, it needs to be trusted.
So how much money is behind this thing? Because you know that they're going to come in and fill the airway if they can get it on the ballot, which I'm going to guess they just assume they will. Ranked choice voting, they've been trying to get rid of it in Alaska. And they came up like 300 votes short of getting rid of it last time around. They will get rid of it in Alaska because it's a complete disaster. And everybody knows it. Well, everybody that is honest knows it, right?
Yeah. Well, it's a complete disaster. It's failing in other states. And the problem is you have out-of-state money coming into Michigan trying to change our process. This isn't a groundswell in Michigan. This is well-funded donors from outside of Michigan coming in and kind of screwing around with our process, and that's what makes it even more egregious.
So how do we stop it, I guess, is the question. Because here's my concern is this, Jim. We see these terrible ideas come in, and all the terrible ideas now come in with the idea of, put it in the Constitution. Everything that they put on there, put it in the Constitution. So it makes it almost impossible to get rid of. And they come in with these terrible ideas, and they come in with truckloads of money to promote it. What a great idea this is. A terrible idea. It doesn't matter. Like, voters, not politicians. How'd that work out for everybody? Mm-hmm. I mean, honestly.
Yeah, well, they do it that way, and it's purposeful because they know it's harder to change in the Constitution. They can't win the battle of ideas. They can't change the hearts and minds of enough people and the policymakers, the elected individuals that we send to Lansing to make these decisions and represent us all. So you come in with messaging that is poll-tested and focus group and a lot of misleading language, and then you put it in the Constitution, and then there we go, and we're off and running. We see that right now with the graduated income tax. Well, messaging that has certainly been focus grouped and tested, and it's more about marketing than it is about policy, and that's very frustrating.
So my question always comes back to, why do we never have the money, we, on the conservative side of the ledger, never have the money to fight these terrible ideas? It always feels like we're fighting with 50 cents while they've got $50 million. That's the way it always feels to me. And it's sad. I don't understand it.
I think on the conservative side, there's people who are focused on the policy. They're focused on the substance. They're focused on using the process that we have in our Constitution and our regulatory system of laws to make sure that ideas are fully debated. And what you have on the other side are a bunch of activists who can go out and raise large sums of money from people who actually want to change or destroy our system, and they aren't people trying to make it better. Yep. As you said, it's misleading. They're trying to do a takeover by way of creative messaging. It's not about the policy.
Yeah, we've got to get rid of this. graduated income tax, minimum wage. What else is going on that we need to know about that people need to be up to speed on so they don't get blindsided, Jim?
Yeah, and the graduated income tax one is very concerning because, it sounds good to say, oh, we're going to tax the rich. It's exactly the opposite. What they're going to do is destroy Main Street. People need to understand that when you raise an income tax, over double it in Michigan from 4% to 9.25%, it doesn't matter who you're attacking. What matters is what the real impact is.
So
and
wait
the
a
real
second.
impact of this proposal,
This graduated income tax would be on the ballot?
Yeah, it would be a constitutional amendment to put it into Constitution to do this. We currently have a prohibition against the graduated income tax in Michigan, and this would be a constitutional amendment to change that and over double the rate.
Double the rate for who? Everybody?
It doubles the rate if you're a single individual filing taxes, $500,000. Filing jointly, it's $1 million. But the interesting thing that people need to understand is the impact to small business, because we have in Michigan, most of our small businesses are pass-throughs.
That's right.
That means they're a partnership, LLC, something called a subchapter S. It means the business owner, those people on Main Street, our mom and pop businesses, our family businesses struggling to benefit our communities every day, they pay their business tax at the income tax level. But they aren't taking a big paycheck home every month or every week. What they're doing is reinvesting that money back into the business. They're hiring more people. They're expanding their locations. They're struggling to survive when people are trying to attack them. And we need to understand this, that this is damaging to our economy. It's bad public policy, and they do it under the guise of trying to help education, which is a complete fallacy.
Yeah,
There's nothing in this proposal that helps education.
Yeah, here's the thing. It would take, so it'd be every dollar over $1 million would be taxed at 9.25% is what you're telling me, right?
That's what they're asserting. There is an argument that it's actually every dollar, but that'll have to be sorted out later. But yeah, they're selling it as everything over $500,000 for an individual or $1 million for filing jointly.
Which
and you
would
have
mean
a lot of small businesses where your profit, your receipts are $500,000, but you aren't taking that home.
Oh, heck no.
You're paying employees. You're putting it in the business.
I see businesses doing $3 million where the owner's making $250,000 maybe. Yeah, that's like, honestly. That would push the effective rate federal and state to 46.75% if I'm not mistaken. That is just obscene. You can't invest in a business if everything gets gobbled up. 20 seconds, last word.
It's an awful policy. It's the wrong policy at the wrong time. It's not doing anything. There's no concrete plan to help education. It's going to be damaging to Michigan's economy. Voters should not sign the should not sign the ballot proposal to put it on the ballot.
There you go. Jim Holcomb, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Steve.
Really appreciate it. Just a bunch of terrible ideas. You think business will ever come to Michigan? No. Why would you come here? To get your eyes and brains taxed out? No, forget it. They'll go somewhere. They'll go to Tennessee. They'll go to Florida. They'll go to Texas. Guarantee it. I'll be back. So will I. All right, back to it now as we continue to work through a free-for-all Friday. My next guest is Congresswoman, I should say, Erin Houchin. She serves on the House Rules Committee, the House Budget Committee, the House Energy and Commerce Committee, and the House Education and Workforce Committee. She represents the 9th Congressional District of our big, beautiful state of Indiana. Congresswoman, nice to talk to you again. Is she there? Congresswoman, can you hear me? We seem to have a little failure there. All right, let's, Brock, you let me know when we've got her, please. And we'll go from there. All right. I'll tell you about this while we get the Congresswoman hooked up. Solar companies going bankrupt because all that free government money is going away. Progressive billionaire elites, dark money-funded NGOs, far-left lawmakers, legacy corporate media orchestrated one of the most elaborate propaganda campaigns in recent memory, weaponizing the climate crisis. Well, as a result of that, the green legislation went through. It's been a massive heist on the Treasury, all under the noble guise of saving the planet. Well,
Steve, we have the Congresswoman now.
It's not working anymore. The climate crisis is failing to sell anymore, and so therefore solar panels are failing as a result, as you can imagine. All right, Congresswoman Erin Houchin with me now from Indiana's 9th Congressional District. Congresswoman, nice to talk to you again. Congresswoman, can you hear me? All right. We're going to go ahead and reschedule that one. Obviously, that's not working. I apologize for the technical failure here today. It happens from time to time. It's disappointing. Now, the darker side of the green scam, let's go back to where I was. Coming into focus, Reuters reporting earlier this week that a draft tax bill released by Senate Finance Committee Chair Mike Crapo proposed an accelerated phase-out of clean energy subsidies established under the Biden-Harris regime's 2022 Inflation Reduction Act, which was nothing more than handouts to so-called green companies. The legislation would significantly dial back solar and wind tax credits to 60% of their original value starting in 26 and eliminate them by 2028. They were supposed to start phasing out in 2032. But that didn't happen. They're getting rid of them now. Crapo says that in a press release that this draft bill achieves significant savings by slashing Green New Deal spending and targeting waste, fraud, and abuse in spending programs while preserving and protecting them for the most vulnerable. Slashing green energy tax credits, essentially the lifeline of the green industry, would unleash a tsunami of bankruptcies across the sector. Think of Solyndra's high-profile collapse. You remember that, of course. That happened during the Obama administration. It's not final, but it looks very negative. Let's see. Managing director at FTI Consulting, who specializes in renewable energy, refers to the Senate's latest draft tax bill. You're dealing with a lot of major uncertainty, which makes anyone considering residential solar, from homeowners to financiers, basically wait and see what happens next. Firms are under liquidity pressure. We're seeing real distress in the industry. Things are coming to a head. Mass liquidations and layoffs are set to plague the industry this year. There's going to be a 50 to 60% downturn in demand. If you are invested in solar panels, well, you probably want to liquidate now. You probably want to liquidate now. Many of them will close their doors. They can't stay in business without the tax. You see, they can't stay in business unless you, the taxpayer, prop them up. It's what we've always said. Same thing for these windmill companies. I'm sorry, turbines. They don't survive unless you pay for it. They do not survive unless you, the taxpayer, foot the bill. Boy, wouldn't that be nice if your business was guaranteed? Your business would be guaranteed, but it's just a disaster. Anyhow, one other thing, in a press conference This week, Health and Human Services Secretary Bobby Kennedy and CMS Administrator Dr. Mehmet Oz announced a landmark agreement with the nation's largest health insurers to tackle the number one healthcare problem plaguing hundreds of millions of Americans, prior authorization. God, you hate that, don't you? Your doctor says, hey, you need this, need to do that. You got to get prior authorization from the insurance company. It's the requirement for doctors and patients to get approval before they get treatment. Tests, procedures, maybe they're covered. Maybe they're not. It was meant to control costs, but for 85% of Americans, it has become a barrier, a block to getting the care we need. Doctors are continually struggling with the issue, said Dr. Oz. It's a bureaucratic nightmare. In 2023 alone, Medicare Advantage, which covers about 32 million people, denied 3.2 million prior authorization requests. Denied. They represent individuals who often in the most vulnerable time in their lives needed something done, and it was denied. Remember that whole thing about death panels? Remember all that? Death panels, that would never happen in America. We'll never do that as Democrats. Nobody will ever, base your treatment based on money. Yeah. Yeah, they will. And they will deny life-saving surgery. What if you're 80 years old and you need a hip replacement? Well, you're not in the best health here, Bob. And here we are thinking about this through. But your hip, we're not going to replace it. You're 80, Bob, and you're not in the best health. So we're just going to... Bob could live for 6 or 8 or 10 more years, but he'll be hobbled up because he'll be denied the treatment that he needs and the procedure he needs to get healthy. All right? Yeah. Prior authorization. Let's get rid of that, shall we? Final thoughts after this. How about some more good news to close the show out today? How's that seem to you? Seems good to me. Let's see. Gas is down 2 cents since yesterday. It's down a penny from where we were a week ago. It's almost down to where we were a month ago. It's at 3.20. This is the national average. 3.17 is where we were a month ago, right? Let's see. Michigan's average, 3.20, but I see it a lot cheaper a lot of places, so that's just the average. A year ago, the average was 3.50, so we're 30 cents less than we were a year ago, so that's good news. You know, it's coming into the summer travel season, and so therefore, the summer travel season, you like to have cheap gas. So that's where that is. Where are we with oil? Let's see, you know, because the oil spiked there for a moment. Now it's settled back in. $65 for West Texas Intermediate and $68 now for Brent crude, the benchmark. Look, everything's pretty calm right now in the markets. It went the stocks went up 400 points yesterday, over 43,000. NASDAQ was up 1%. S&P 500 above 6140, looking good. Pretty calm on the markets right now. I think that's good news. I think that's reflective of, look, Iran got knocked out. But by the way, one little anniversary to mark for you for today. Do you know what happened 1 year ago today? Do you remember? Joe Biden doesn't. He doesn't remember. It was 1 year ago today. There was the one debate between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. I have no idea what he just said. I don't think he does either. Remember that? Yeah, it was beautiful. That was 1 year ago today that the Biden campaign came to a screeching halt. Took it a few weeks for them to conclude that, but that's it. All right. Fight the good fight. Keep the faith, my friends. God bless America. I'm Steve Gruber. And remember, only you, my friends, only you can save America.